Hello, I'm Brett Knowles from PM2 Consulting, and this is a recording of the session I gave last week in Manchester entitled Managing Hyper-Growth Companies. And the point is the answer is different on how we manage these companies than any other company we can think of. This seminar was partly sponsored by Therapy Giants. They're a Manchester-based consulting firm that specializes in helping hyper-growth companies achieve their full potential. They're continuing the conversation that we begin today about performance management, employee engagement, and even surviving hypergrowth. So over the years, we've worked with a number of clients that have been typified as hypergrowth. And some time ago, an article that got published in Harvard Business Review that talked about our experiences with VimpelCom and the CEO, Alexander Asimov. And this describes the 5 simple rules came up with to manage hypergrowth organizations. Rule number 1, sell first and ask questions later. The issue is this: it's imperative that you keep focused on what has got you to this point. There's a lot of business potential that's wasted as people chase potentials which are not focal to the business. So it's important that all sales-related objectives have a critical priority in your leadership team. So as you make decisions from moment to moment, anything related to sales is always first and foremost. Rule 2, don't try too hard to innovate. The problem is innovation has got to this point, and you might be distracted by continuing to innovate. The problem is this: while you're dealing with your current app and the marketplace's appetite to it, there's a pile of certain opportunities that are at your disposal. And as you begin chasing off other innovative ideas, you may not achieve those certain objectives, nor the other ones. And of course, the other issue is that your organization metaphorically has headlights that only shine out 3 or 6 months. And when you begin targeting on things at 12 months or 5 years, you can easily lose your way before you get there. So for now, focus on things which are in the near term and within grasp. So the overall solution here is try to prioritize all innovation-related activities as a low priority so that you and your team are not distracted to them. Job number 1 is sales. Rule 3 is organize like McDonald's. The issue is this, that you need to, as quickly as possible, standardize technology, structures, even culture, business processes across the company. Right now, as the entrepreneur, people look to you to make day-to-day decisions as well as longer-term business decisions. You need to offload everything that has now become a standardized answer, that you have a repeatable process that you use for solving that question, so that you can focus your attention on the next new things that come along, and, of course, sales. So the example that we often use here is the monthly performance review. At McDonald's, every single corporation, every single region, every single business unit, every single store has a monthly review, and they all review exactly the same key indicators. And this makes it easy to move managers from store to store, region to region, business unit to business unit. But it also allows for an effective communication of performance that can create a learning organization. Since they all discuss the same topics, we can quickly learn of changes and flows and roll that out across the empire. So the solution here is simplify and standardize everything that you possibly can. Rule 4, push decisions to the front line. It's important that you're not the focal point of every decision, and decision paralysis is not something that you can afford in your organization. The more you can have your team make decisions for you, the more time you have available for sales. So the solution here is pretty straightforward. What you need to do is ensure that all operational decisions are left to the people who have to deliver that performance. Or if you need a formula, you need the authority and control at the point of variance. So the point of variance is where the customer has a complaint, where the programmer has a bug. You need to make sure that the person responsible at that point of variance has the control and the authority to make those decisions. And then finally, rule number 5, you need to foster a can-do culture. And it's important to recognize that you are the brand. Everything that you do is seen and scrutinized closely. So merely verbally reassuring people that they won't be punished for failure isn't doing the right thing. You have to show them the behavior that you're looking for. So if you want people to take risks, you take risks. If you want people to take a break and have a meditation break, you stop and take a meditation break. And quickly, those would become the can-do culture you're trying to produce inside your business. Now, these sound pretty academic. I need to tell you that there are ways that you can formally make this part of your ongoing business practices. Now, in Silicon Valley, we've come up with concepts like OKRs, which stands for Objectives and Key Results. And it's just a tool to enable some of the things we've talked about. Let me give you an example. This performance measurement thing becomes a focal point of how you talk to the organization about your mandate, which of course is business success. So you need some form of dashboard that communicates how the organization is performing. Now, I'm not going to go into the depths of this dashboard right now, but I'll show you how it gets built, because that's an important component of how we execute the 5 rules. So this is the detail behind it, and I'll just sort of give you some clarity around what we're seeing. I outlined for you a bunch of rules. Rule 1, sell first, ask questions later. What we need is the ability to identify our objectives. So in this case, our objective is improve customer loyalty. We have a key result of establishing a giveaway contest. Here's the actual performance, forecast, and most importantly, the priority. So we've been able to identify this sales-related activity as a high priority. Don't try too hard to innovate. Anything that's innovation-related, give a lower weighting to, a lower priority. We talked about organized like McDonald's. Let's have these standardized and simplified objectives and key results. Forecast and actual performance, priority, the ability to have discussions, and we know who is responsible for what. This becomes a standard and repeatable process we can use for any objective or goal in the organization. And that gives us the opportunity to push the decisions to the right place, because I know exactly who's accountable and responsible for each objective and key result. So this becomes a way that we can have ongoing performance conversations, whether it's at the more detailed level or the dashboard where I showed you before, where we've calculated the points earned by their objectives and key results, and we have a heads up of how many red, amber, and green there are, and so forth. This allows us to see our performance progress, compare the departments, divisions, brands, products, and so forth. And this becomes a catalyst for us to set up our individual scorecards, and then finally individual ongoing tasks and overall performance management, to allow us to integrate the individual to the team to the organization. What benefits do we have seen from organizations that follow these 5 rules? First, we see that they improve employee engagement because we understand what we're accountable for and the focus. Employee turnover decreases for the same reasons. People understand what they're accountable for, and they understand how they contribute to the overall purpose of the organization. And therefore absenteeism goes down, productivity goes up, and if you're dealing with shareholders, you'll find shareholder returns increase, because now you're focused on what you need to do, the sales. The organization has their simple, standard, repeatable processes, and everyone understands the culture in which we do our business. So again, rule 1, sell first. Worry about whether you can deliver it or other aspects second. Stop chasing innovation. Standardize and simplify everything. Therefore, you can push decisions to the front line, but you have to build that culture that you want the organization to be. I hope this is useful to you. As I mentioned, There Be Giants is local in Manchester and knows how to help you execute on the 5 rules, or feel free to contact me if you have any questions or want to discuss these ideas further.